Hello everyone at Deliver. My name is Selvane Mohandas du Ménil. I'm the managing director of the International Association of Department Stores, and today we're going to talk about, guess what, department stores. But first, let me tell you a few things. 2022 has been quite a crazy year. 23 is going to be bumpy as well, we think. So that's why with Deliver events organizers, we thought that it would be great to give you a glimpse of what's going on at department stores. We're going to review together what's going on when it comes to logistics, specific initiatives. Of course, in the time frame that we have today, that's going to be quite short, so I'm going to be extremely concise, and I have made a selection, I've taken an angle, which I hope will give you some understanding of what's going on, not pretending, of course, that we're covering everything today. All right, so let's look at department stores world and dive deep in it. But the first thing is, yeah, but what is the International Association of Department Stores? So just for you to know very quickly, it's an association that has been founded in 1928, which makes it the oldest think tank in the world. And we are currently having, that's the selection of permanent members that we have. So as you can see, we're covering all countries in all continents. We have different formats, we have different business models. These are permanent members, but we also have temporary members, we have contact members. So like, no, it's literally all about making sure that department stores have a space where they can exchange and talk together. What we do more precisely is that we bond our members, we provide them actionable insight, and we have them on a one-to-one basis, which makes us very specific when it comes to an association, because basically the story is that we answer all of their needs. We answer the questions. They can be very operational, they can be very specific. And the rationale is that we're a club of department stores, so whatever question one member might have, 85% of the answer is already in the club. So that makes us very specific. We are not here to deal with governments or authorities. We are really dedicated to our members. Now, COVID, crisis, lockdowns, death of brick and mortar. We have heard a lot of headlines. We have read a lot of headlines, sorry, where I've heard a lot of things when it comes to brick and mortar. And it's true that actually at the height of the pandemic, we were seeing literally the retail apocalypse. JCPenney in the US, Lord & Taylor in the US, Onuma in Japan, gone. We know as well that some major companies had some trouble. Neiman Marcus in the US, Galleria, which is still in trouble today in Germany, Stockmann, which had to sell all their stores in order to survive. And let me remind you that actually 2020 and 2021 were quite crazy years for department stores. For instance, Galeries Lafayette in France, they had to close 2 times, 100 days. 100 days. Due to the virus lockdowns. That represents 19% of the opening time on average within our members for 2020 and 2021. But when you look at 2022, the situation looks grim as well. It's true. I mean, like, for instance, in the UK, you have 328 fewer units less than in 2020. You have 22 chains that closed as well, Debenhams and Beals. And you have a real market right sizing. For instance, once again in the UK, Fenwick has announced that they're going to close their Bond Street flagship. House of Fraser has exited the whole of London market. Galeries Lafayette, they had to make partnerships with franchisee partners in order to retain their original stores. Printemps has gone through some difficulties, but at the same time, they're opening Doha and have announced that they were going to open a New York store. And the biggest question that we might have is that, yeah, but after 2020, 21, 22, we've been all buying our things online. We know e-commerce. What's a department store for anyways? Because you have e-commerce, you can have even a department store in virtual, in the metaverse. So do we really still need brick and mortar? I have 2 comments to make. 2 yes but. The first yes but is e-commerce. When you look at the trend line, actually we are back. We are back to the usual growth line that that we had pre-pandemic. If you look at the insiders intelligence graph here, you can see that actually even though the percentage of change, like 20 plus 25 20.5% in 2019, plus 25.7% in 2020, then back to plus 19% in 21, and it's expected that the growth rate is going to flatten down, meaning that actually e-commerce is increasing, yes, but is not going to eat all of the commerce. And if you look at this graph made by Benedict Evans, a UK-based analyst, it's the same thing. You can see that the evolution of e-commerce as a share of addressable retail, both in the UK and in the US, well, they have those big peaks in 2020 and 21, but actually when it comes back to 22, you are getting back to the trend line as a whole. However, that gave some fresh air and time to adjust for department stores. Let's face it, department stores were really lagging when it came to e-commerce and digital, so they had to adjust, they had to adapt. Some of them have made some incredible things that I'm going to try to show you afterwards. The other yes but is stores. Well, guess what? The stores come with perks. When you have a store, you create a community in the same way that when you have a website, you create a community. But the good thing about the community that you have with your store is that it's literally around you, right? Plus, stores are literally physical touch points. And that's quite interesting now that everybody is talking about retail media. So retail media is trade marketing on steroids. It's using your store as part of the whole media options and portfolio that you have, and selling those capabilities to advertisers, meaning brands, who are then able to laser focus their offers to the right customer at the right moment in the right location, not only on the website, but also on the store, also outside, also in catalogs, in emails, in SMS, and everything. So that's going to be that's something which is literally exploding now, because that's a big way to make your store profitable. And this leads to some headlines that I've read as well in 2022. Like, retail has been dubbed the most resilient real estate asset class by Selvane in the UK. And we know that actually all of the department stores who own their real estate are doing quite well today. I would like also just to come back on the notion of crisis, because we've been fed with the fact that we have gone through an unprecedented crisis for the past 2 or 3 years. When you look at when you take an historical standpoint, actually, like I've taken that slide from a friend, Laurent Raoult from XL Conseil, which I think tells everything. When you look at the early 20th century, you had the Spanish flu when it comes to pandemic. Then you had the 1929 crisis in financial wars. Then the Second World War, of course, in geostrategical issues, then the Cold War, then the oil shock, then the AIDS coming in the health sector, then the October crack at the end of the 80s in financials, then jointly the mad cow disease and leading to the Asian financial crisis in the late 90s, 2000, then the first SARS pandemic during the first decade of the century, 9/11 to start it, the internet bubble that went at the same time. Then we had the volcano in Iceland, subprime crisis, Ebola. Then recently we had COVID, but not only that, we have also Ukraine war. We have the global warming, which is becoming very much visible these days. So at the end of the day, when you look at what we've been through for the past 40 years, we've been from crisis to crisis, right? And the real question is not at all how long COVID or Ukraine war or the global warming are going to take, or what do we need to resolve those crises, but it's like, what's going to be next? Yeah. So that's why actually I'd like to raise your attention to raise your attention on the fact that department stores, which are usually 200 or 250 years old, they are all extremely They're all extremely resilient. Pause. They are all extremely resilient, because that's the name of the game. This is what they have been doing for all of their life. Look at really a very quick historical point of view on department stores. Like, you had the mom and pop business in the 18th century, leading to the creation of the first real department stores, as we call them. Macy's and Bloomingdale's and Sears in the US, Harrods in the UK, Le Bon Marché in France. So it's all about putting everything under one roof at a set price, without any obligation to buy when you're in here. Plus, of course, a lot of different novelties such as sales, marketing, and so on. Then, once the format was defined, you had some improvements. The first thing was the invention in 1845 of the mail order. For instance, I'm showing you a Tiffany Blue Book that was in 1845. Le Bon Marché started to offer mail order businesses in 1867. You had Sears selling house in kits through mail houses, from 1908 to 1940, right? Then you had in 1883 the cash desk, right? Which was very quickly used by all retailers because that helped making sure that no more mistakes were made when it came to dealing with cash. As of today, Shopify Pay, Klarna, and all the and as of today, Shopify Pay is just a new iteration of how can you deal with payments in a safe and secure way. Then in 1950, you had the first iterations of the credit card with the Diners Club in the US. As of today, again, Klarna is a new way of doing it, but it's literally a reinterpretation of something that already existed. So all this phase of innovation from 1845 to 1950 led to things that we still use today, but of course we have modernized it. Then you have disruption again. 1956, malls. 1952 in the US and 53 in France, you had Walmart and Carrefour. So the first hypermarkets, which were born thanks to the increasing use of cars all across nations, meaning that people were able to go out to city centers in the vast suburban centers and go and have access to new formats of business. Then you have specialty stores and fast fashion. So in the 80s and 90s, H&M, Zara, Gap, which are taking a bit of the business of a department store, which of course, I didn't mention that, but you know that department stores are all about fashion, cosmetics, beauty, and luxury at the beginning. Then you have e-commerce with the inception of Amazon and Alibaba, and then of course new formats, digital e-commerce, Facebook, Instagram, new way of doing business with Shein, which is probably the most dangerous as of today for department stores. So it's all about, again, new formats coming as a challenge for department stores. But you know what? Department stores haven't disappeared, and they're still here to stay. And believe me, we know their numbers, and they're doing quite well, even though times are difficult. So that's why instead of talking about retail apocalypse, we would rather talk about a permanent state of unpredictability. This is what this is where we help our members. Actually, COVID acted as a wake-up call for retailers. We know that now. Some of our members said that it even led to a 6 years acceleration when it came to their digital programs. And it also forced them to make sure that their stores were worth going there. However, the lessons learned since then is the fact that actually now the times we live in are a permanent call for action and changes. Change is permanent. You cannot consider that everything that you've done so far is enough. You need to make sure that you're currently and always thinking forward. And you also need to make sure that you and your teams are on a permanent learning process. So that's why actually where the association helps the members is to make sure that they're ready for further disruptions. We believe that actually that's going to be the case. New strikes. Have you seen that Samaritan was on strike on the 23rd of Samaritan had to close in France, in Paris, due to a strike of employees on the 23rd of December. You must be ready for terror attacks. You must be ready for climate crisis. You must be ready for anything. So this is why the VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity mindset is more than needed today for our members. So having said that, I hope that now you understand that there is no such thing as a retail apocalypse. There are just challenges, just like for any kind of retailer. But department stores have in their DNA the ability to sustain those disruptions and those changes and make sure that they are learning and changing with the times. So when it comes to the key learnings and the lessons that we would like to share through some examples that we've selected for you when it comes to department stores. This is a picture of the cupola at the Galeries Lafayette, which has been refurbished during the pandemic, literally during the lockdown period in Paris. We believe that this illustrates the changes that department stores have to deal with. They have to deal with the fact that their services need to be really top, because a store without world-class service is just a place, right? A store with world-class service is a destination. You need to make sure as well that that you're going to bring to your customers experiences, again, to make sure that you give your customers a good reason to come to your store rather than just literally going online. And of course, it's all about making sure that you're local, that you're talking to your customers. Yes, it's true. For the past decade, until the pandemic, department stores were literally making a living out of the tourists, especially Asian tourists. For the past 2 years, they had to learn how to survive without this population, and they had to remember that yes, they have a local clientele that they need to cater for. So that's why actually they have also spent the past 2 years making sure that that they are addressing those needs as well, and not only selling high-end luxury goods to tourists who wouldn't be there tomorrow. So that's why for us it's all about making sure that it's your business is sustainable. I'm not talking only about environment and inclusivity and social role here. I'm also talking about the fact that you have a sustainable business in terms of margin, in terms of being able to project yourself in the future, but also making sure that your business is able to change at a higher pace than it used to be. And you may know that department stores are usually very large organizations. So that's why it was a kind of a challenge for them to make sure that they were able to adapt to the new conditions. So as I said, we have made a selection of examples for you according to the 3 axes: services, experiences, and the store, local and digital. So I hope that you will enjoy them. First of all, when it comes to services, you have three ways of seeing them: how to make them, how to bring convenience to your customers, how to bring personalization to your customers, how to make sure that your service is addressing local customers. So when it comes to convenience, I'd like to show you, for instance, the new click and collect capabilities. This one is a picture of the click and collect office at Printemps, which is located in the 4th floor of the store. It's a nice way to show to your customers that you care, even though they have bought something online. When they come, it's very comfortable. It's also a key opportunity to make sure that your customers have a good reason to come to your store. And believe me, it works. We have some members who are able to convert 15% of the incoming clientele who comes to gather click and collect items into buying something additional. And the fact that you have those offices on the upper floors, of course, force the customer to make sure that force the customer to go up the store and see the whole offer. In terms of logistics, that raises some very interesting questions. You don't have trucks that are coming to the back of this office because that's on the upper floors. You need to make sure that you have a proper system. You need to make sure that everything is seamless, but at the same time, everything is working very efficiently in the framework of a store itself. It's not a warehouse. It's not a ground floor location with a door which is opening on the street and enabling logisticians to bring the products. Another example that we like to show for our members is what SM in Philippines did with an initiative called Call to Deliver. So they used to have e-commerce before the pandemic, but actually, as you may know, Philippines is literally a set of different islands, so e-commerce was a bit struggling. What they decided to do was to open this Call to Deliver initiative, which is literally a way for your customers to be able to order anything from the store in any way possible. You send an email, you send a WhatsApp, you use Line, or use any kind of social media, you give a call. It was a way to make sure that all the communities around the store were able to have access to the whole offer of the store. That raised a lot of new questions for SM, which was how to make sure that they were able to deal with the whole offer of the store in a nice and understandable way for customers, i.e. how to make catalogs of the whole offer that you have and make it accessible for your customers, and also how to make sure in store that you had the dedicated space and people able to deal with those orders coming on top of customers coming to the stores themselves. And actually, this Call to Deliver initiative has grown by a double digit from 2020 to 2022, and is now something which is more successful than the pure e-commerce initiative, because it gives to local customers much more options in a quicker way than if they were ordering something through e-commerce. Another example from Corte Inglés in Spain. So now Corte Inglés, which didn't have any home delivery capability prior to the pandemic, meaning until February 2020, it wasn't possible to order something through an app and get it in less than 2 days, let's say. Due to the pandemic, they had to change the way they were working. And now they are one of the very few department stores in the world able to offer ultra fast and free delivery. If you live in Madrid and Barcelona, you can have access once again through email, calls, website, app, whatever you want. You can have access to the whole catalog of the store, right? And then your order is going to be delivered within less than 2 hours by a Corte Inglés person who is going to bring it to your house in this guaranteed time. We understand now also that much more than the speed of delivery is the ability to offer the largest catalog, which is very important. For instance, another department store chain called Boyner in Turkey, and now they have launched a similar option of being able to deliver in an ultra-fast way your order, but in the whole of Turkey. So now, if you're in the whole of Turkey, you have the guarantee that Boyner will be shipping to you, delivering to you with a Boyner staff, your order within 90 minutes, right? In terms of logistics and store organization, that's a revolution, and we are closely following that as well, because Corte Inglés and Boyner had to review not only the way they do things, not only the way teams are dispatched, but also the whole set of systems and platforms needed to deal with such a rapidity. Another example of convenience service is live shopping. So we are giving some examples of Breuninger in Germany. So they started to do the first fashion show online in 2021. That was a premiere for them. They had never done so before. And actually, during the show, every viewer was able to have access to the products, so you could see you could see what was being shown on the picture, and you were able to have access to a chat and to purchase as well, to close the deal on another panel during the presentation itself. Again, this was something quite new for Breuninger. And we see it as a very interesting option, because you have your fashion show. It doesn't mean that you need to fulfill your order from the store itself. You can fulfill the order from wherever the goods are. The only thing which is very important is to make sure that all platforms are communicating in the right way to make it very efficient and interesting for the customers. Now, still in the service area, when it comes to personalization, a few examples. What we see is that there is an increasing trend to ultra personalization, making sure that your experience is unique and only for you. For instance, Harrods has opened in China private shopping invite-only residencies where you can have access only if you're part of that clientele. Chanel has done the same in New York. We know also another kind of positioning that Walmart has opened such a new initiative as well, with Walmart Plus, which is a 3-day online event only open to the members of Walmart. In addition, if you're a big shopper at Walmart, you will have now dedicated lanes. The tradition would be more than you have dedicated lanes when you have less than 10 articles being purchased. But interestingly, Walmart has decided to give that privilege to the heavy buyers. Coming back to luxury, when you look at the new Dior residence in Paris, so you may know that Christian Dior has opened a 10,000 square meter store in Paris recently, which includes, of course, retail space, but also restaurants, a garden, cafes, a hotel room, a museum. And actually, when you are a customer and when you are a guest of Dior and when you are staying at the hotel, you have access to the store on a 24/7 basis. How do department stores relate? Well, in SKP in China, you have up on the upper floors of Louis Vuitton, Dior, and Chanel stores, you have ultra private VIP clubs. It's not because you're going to purchase something expensive that you will have access to it. And if you don't know that those salons exist, you won't see it. So they're not advertised. They are used by brands to make sure that ultra VIP customers feel privileged by having access to such spaces where they can use for social functions, such as celebrating a birthday or accommodating friends and everything. So here it's all about making sure that you dedicate a lot of space to your VIP customers, provide them with exceptional services and products in a ultra individualized way, which means that you know them, right? Which raises a lot of questions when it comes to systems. Another example of personalization is what Beko in Venezuela does. Now they are able to rent your furniture, meaning that they give access to their customers. They give the possibility to rent everything that they need for their home, which we find interesting for the reason that this raises new questions in terms of how to make money, in terms of how to manage the products and the circularity of the products when they go out from the warehouse. But what do you do when they go back? How do you deal with invoicing? How do you deal with regular recurring payments? And we find it also interesting because that's a new way to the business and a very astute way for Beko in Venezuela to enter a new category. The last angle for services is how to deal with local customers. For us, the most interesting and the thing that you might not like if you're into logistics is the examples given by Nordstrom. So Nordstrom has opened Nordstrom Local, which is a new initiative. You can find those stores everywhere in Manhattan, in other locations. Interestingly, they don't really sell a lot of things. It's more about giving you as a customer a hub for all your click and collect, curbside pickup, order returns, alterations, all services that you might need. But you know what? You're not going to find a lot of goods. This is an example of a Nordstrom local. Yes, you have some merchandise in order to make sure that you can browse a few products and buy yourself a cafe and have some chocolate bars. But basically, you're not going to make a living in those spaces by selling goods. You're going to make a living in those spaces by making sure that your customers are interacting with all the set of services that you have, and making sure that they enjoy those spaces because it's extremely convenient and ideally located from very near from their place. Interestingly, we consider that this initiative is contributing to the branding of the retailers because it makes the department store much more closer than you. And in some other locations, in some other formats, such as in Bloomies for Bloomingdale's. So when you go into a Bloomies now, Bloomies are going to be 10 to 20 times smaller than the average Bloomingdale's location. But interestingly, what you will have access to is the fact that staff are going, for instance, to give you an iPad where you will be able to chat live with someone from Manhattan advising you on luxury handbags, right? The luxury handbag section is very small at Bloomies, but the one at Bloomingdale's is huge. And actually what they do is that they give you access, even though you're not in New York, for instance, they will give you access to that offer with also the help of a sales assistant, and the product will be delivered within 2 days, either at your place or at the Bloomies location. Now, coming to experiences, there are two angles to talk about experiences. Is how to bring the unexpected into the store and how to make the experiences memorable. First, unexpected. I'm going to take an example which is not a department store, but we found it very interesting. It's the supermarket chain in France called Monoprix. They have opened a store which is near Gare Montparnasse, which is a train station, and it's one of a kind because basically you know a supermarket, you know what it looks like. They have decided to allocate 80% of the ground floor to what they call place publique, so public atrium. And this space is not a food court. It's not a place where you put some tables and some chairs. It's literally a place which is given away to local associations and local artisans and everything to make animations. The name of the game is to create some kind of a town square in the middle of the store where people and customers are coming back just because they find it interesting and because every day they know that something new is going to happen, right? The reason why we find it very interesting is that you dedicate those 80 square meters to non-retail activities in the middle of the store, and then the name of the game is going to make sure that, like a donut, all the neighboring areas are going to be extremely efficient in terms of retail to make sure that every time you cross them to have access to this public place, you will be tempted into buying something. And we believe that allocating space to non-retail activity is also a good way to challenge the expectations of customers and to bring surprises to what they find into the stores. Another example that you will probably find interesting as well is showrooming experiences. For instance, C2 Live in London is a physical and digital destination where you can see a lot of products. You can see everything, but you cannot buy anything, right? Basically, the story is that whenever you go into it, you are able to try the products, and then you'll be directed on the brand's website to be able to purchase this product, and the brand will be charged a commission by C2 Live whenever a sale is made, in addition to a monthly fee. We find it interesting because that's literally an inventory free store. So here from a logistics point of view, what we find interesting is that the store is monetized in a way through the brand's commissions and the traffic, but not at all by selling products per se. And here, once again, the name of the game is to make sure that the customer is getting the product at home at the right moment, without having to go through either a C2Live warehouse, because there are no warehouses, or going through the store itself. So it's literally a physical marketplace. When it comes to making your experience memorable, the best example that we have is what is currently going on at Bon Marché. So Bon Marché in Paris, the oldest department store in France, has decided to challenge the way customers are seeing the store and making sure that they have a good reason to come back by creating an emotional link. So this is why actually since September and until this April, every Friday and Saturday, they have decided to have a theater play, which is taking place after the store hours, store opening hours. And during 2 hours, the play based on Émile Zola, Au Bonheur des Dames, which is supposedly the book based on Bon Marché that was written in the 19th century. The play will be taking place in different spaces of the store. Okay, we are mentioning that because actually they're not selling anything apart from the ticket. The ticket is 70 euros. All right, the whole event has been sold out from September 2022 to April 23, and we are talking about 10,000 tickets. So it's a very astute way to monetize your store, and it relates to what I was telling you about the fact that stores by themselves and real estate are an asset that can be monetized in a very interesting way, in addition to being able to sell products. That also raises questions when your job is to make sure that you're bringing, that you're delivering stuff to retailers. That raises questions when on what they do and how you can make business with them as well. Another example of new ways of monetizing the spaces is literally fine dining. You have a lot of department stores in the world who have decided to take fine dining to the next level by opening restaurants right in the middle of the store. We are not talking about cafeterias. We are not talking about cafes or bars. We are literally talking about actual restaurants. Interestingly, they are bringing some unexpected features because they are usually made in collaboration with brands. It can be pop-ups such as the Fendi restaurant at Selfridges or the Jacquemus restaurant in Galeries Lafayette in Paris, but they can also be permanent. Bear in mind, for instance, that Corte Inglés has opened in Madrid the first Michelin-starred restaurant to be available in a department store, meaning that this restaurant is located in the heart of the department store and it holds a Michelin star. Why is it important? Well, because it upgrades the perception of the department store. It gives reasons to everyone to go to the department store and not only customers, and that generates additional traffic. Once again, here, when it comes to the logistics of bringing the food and everything, you're going to have new challenges because that's not the average department store business, and it's not going to be managed in the same way that they manage food courts. Another example that we find interesting, which is not in the department store, but from the German brand Ménil. It's a German appliance brand. They have a store that at night is transformed into a showroom that can be rented. We believe that this is also part of the future when it comes to monetizing the spaces, because actually customers are able to literally rent the store, have access to the appliances, cook with their friends, and enjoy the night within the store, and living the whole meal experience and lifestyle. They also have access to a remote chef through the Meal app, meaning that they have the possibility to interact even more with the brand. And we believe that this is part of the future as well, in order to make sure that department stores are able to monetize their spaces outside of the opening hours as well. Another example that you need to know is WoW store in Madrid that has been opened less than a year and a half ago. And it's very interesting because it's all about a social media friendly Instagrammable store where you cannot buy anything, meaning that everything is made, everything is based on the fact that you're going to enjoy the experience, you're going to find the unexpected, you're going to share those experiences with your friends online, but you're not going to come out with shopping bags. Everything is going to be delivered at your place after having ordered through iPads with the salespersons. That also raises a lot of questions on how to deal with those kind of new gen department stores. This also relates to the stores where you don't sell anything. And the best example that we know is from a brand called Canada Goose. It's a down jacket brand. And actually, when you go to the store, you're going to be able to experience the cold and the winds, because actually they have special rooms where you have all of this in real conditions. They're going to lend you their garments for you to experience to what extent they are working well and very efficient, but you're not going to be able to buy anything, because it's all about making sure that you live the experience and understand to what extent the product is good and adapted to your needs. Then here the name of the game for Canada Goose is to make sure that when you get out of the cold room, someone handles you an iPad, you are able to browse the offer, you buy something, and it will be delivered to your home the day after. When it comes to stores and product stores, you have three angles: product curation, how to use tech, and sustainability, of course. Product curation, the best example that we can give you as logisticians is the new wellness space in Galeries Lafayette in Paris. So they have opened in the basement of the flagship 3,000 square meters dedicated to wellness. And the reason why we find it interesting for you to know is that in that space, actually, you will only find 30% of the space dedicated to selling products and 70% dedicated to experiences, such as sauna, hammam, hyperbaric rooms. As you can see, you have gym, you have yoga rooms. The store is accessible outside, during the store opening hours, but also outside of them, from 6:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. And which means that any gym club can organize sessions in those rooms, even though the store is not open. You can even rent some special rooms where, with your friends, you're going to be able to try the products or just celebrate, right? Or just take it easy in between a few yoga or sauna sessions. Here, this raises a lot of questions because we believe that department stores are going to increase more and more the experiences offered and the services that they sell on their premises, just because they have to. If they only sell goods, you know what? There will be always someone online selling the same good as well. So it's all about making sure that you, as a customer, you have a good reason to come, which again raises questions from a logistics point of view on what do you supply and how do you team up with the partner stores with this new objective in mind. When it comes to tech, department stores and related industries have started to embrace these changes, fortunately for them, due to the pandemic. We have seen a few interesting initiatives. For instance, Marks and Spencer's and others, they have developed in-store AR app, which help customers to be able to locate themselves in the store, plan their journey in the store, but also have access to special offers through an individualized way and understanding. It's real-time navigation. It provides customers guides, special information. So let's say it's ongoing, but it's a very interesting way also to provide mass customization when it comes to a customer experience. Another example that we find interesting. Remember, I told you that metaverse was one of the options, one of the reasons why department stores were being challenged. Well, you know what? The department stores have invested metaverse. Among the various examples that you can have, the Printemps in Paris has opened literally a department store in the metaverse where you can buy at the same time NFTs, but you can also have physical goods which are presented on the metaverse and coming from the store. And in the store, the physical store, you can even buy digital goods that do not exist, such as, for instance, Instagram dresses that you're going to be able to see online in the virtual store, but also through special apps and devices in the physical store itself. So it's all about blurring the boundaries between physical and digital, but making sure that actually everything makes a holistic and coherent experience. It's not only about competing with the e-commerce giants, it's making sure that your presence online and your presence and your physical presence are coinciding and making sense together. Now, when it comes to sustainability, you have some from a logistical point of view. The new initiatives for us, we think, raise a lot of questions. A few examples. At Falabella in Chile, they have opened Taller F, which is a circular initiative. You bring back whatever you want, and they're going to make new products out of them. Okay. At Printemps, they have the hors saison initiative, which is a smart way to sell on 200 square meters, all the unsold inventory, but in a very nice way, which is going to be sorted by season, by colors, meaning that it's not about giving you a bazaar kind of experience. It's about making sure that even the unsold items still are legitimate and still are presented in an interesting way. Galeries Lafayette has opened, in partnership with Selvane, but others as well, a huge space of second-hand, where here the story is again to sell used and pre-used products, and trying to make money out of it. I'd like to remind you that Selfridges in the UK has pledged to achieve 45% of their turnover through circular initiatives within 2030. Circular initiatives mean resold, repaired, rented, any kind of business which is recycled, which is not based on selling brand new products. For your information, right now, Selfridges must achieve 1 to 2% of their turnover through circular initiatives. So the pledge is quite ambitious. As a conclusion, department stores are the dinosaurs due to their age. However, they have proved their resilience throughout the centuries, but even more so during the past 4 years. They have been able to react fast and adjust to new customers, because we have all changed, right? I mean, we have all changed in terms of behaviors, what we need, what we want, and what we crave for. This has pushed them into renewing their product offer and making sure that they are favoring personalization, experiences, and services. But as a whole, the most important thing to remember is that boring department stores are going to die. They died already, and the remaining ones are not going well. The department stores of the future have to deal with the fact that customers, they don't go online, they live online. Physical retail is here to save time. Online retail is to save time, and physical retail is to spend time. So for that reason, your store has to be incredible and very interesting, and that goes through making sure that you are very well digitally equipped. But not only that, your people, your staff are bringing the human touch, which is very much needed in those days. Everything is harmonized between your online, your virtual, and your physical store. You're going also to be mobile centered, because we all live on our iPhones and Samsungs, and the experience is going to be personal, memorable, and in some cases even more radical. And I will invite you to look at the new SKP store that opened in China, in Chengdu, 3 weeks ago, which is all about bringing the experience to a next level on very significant dimensions with all the brands which have been invited to propose new concepts and new experiences to their customers to make sure that once again, even the more blasé customer have a good reason to go to a department store and enjoy the time spent there. I hope that I wasn't too boring on my side, and I would like to thank you very much for your time and attention, and thank you very much, Deliver, for giving the opportunity to the International Association for Department Store to give our views on what it takes to be a department store in 2023. Thank you very much.